Hi there, integrative nutrition health coach and eco pastry chef Blasia Cahoot here, and today I'm speaking with KimberLee Schaumburg.
Hello.
You are a registered holistic nutritionist.
Correct.
And a whole bunch of other things, which I think I'll let you tell the folks what they are. But today we're going to talk a bit about the magic of fermented foods, right?
Really excited.
Really excited because they're so good for us on so many levels, and there are many different kinds. And so first, before we get into that, maybe you could tell the people a little bit what it is you do as a holistic nutritionist and all the other things that you do.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am a registered holistic nutritionist. So my and why healing spirit nutrition as well is because I am a healer. And food, I've learned early on, was a very powerful tool, and as a way also to engage people in the conversation of health and well-being, and on all levels, not just on the body, so mind, body, spirit. So I love fermenting, I love dehydrating, I love sprouting, I love baking and creating healing foods that give us value, that aren't just, taste good and fill the growling stomach. Right. So that's me. Now, I started my business in 2010, but I've been fermenting since 1995 when I started dabbling in alcohol fermentation.
So does that mean beer? You made your own beer?
No, actually, it was liqueur.
Oh,
It was liqueur. So I still was working with the whole food. I was still working with fruit and converting fruit into liqueur. And it just fascinated me that nature just could do it on its own for us, right? And so when in my training, when I got introduced to cultures, the first thing I was introduced to actually was kombucha, and then I was introduced into milk kefir and milk cultures. And so, of course, I had to try those. I've always loved playing with my food, and I've always loved working with living foods and with living being, growing, whether it be growing plants in my garden or whether it be playing with food and creating things. So this was right up my alley. And as soon as I started doing my first batch of milk kefir, because I couldn't tolerate I couldn't do milk very well. It would make me nauseous and inflamed. And so I thought, okay, let's try fermenting. That'll help calm things down. Then experimented with regular milk, went into goat's milk, tried sheep milk, still had the inflammatory response. So it wasn't the lactose, it was the casein. So I knew that dairy had to go. Therefore, I went into the coconut milk kefir. So that's my signature product that I make and sell in stores.
Love. Our family loves it. We go through at least 1 liter of it every week.
And the results with it have been fantastic because the fermented food, it's a living food, so you're harmonizing with your body's and you're correcting your body's natural biome. So that's why this food has been so beneficial in so many ways, and even for pets. Cats and dogs love it too. It's my little photo. So,
all right.
So yeah. Now for myself and my healing journey, because that's where what brought me to this is kombucha was the very first place that I started.
Okay, so that probably would be a good place to kind of move forward. We have a whole bunch of your things here.
Right.
And this, if I'm not mistaken, is some kombucha that is
That's
on
right.
the go, right?
This is kombucha, my lovely baby, Scoby here. All of these are my babies because working with a living culture, it presents its own challenges because of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's also what I really vibrate to, right? And harmonize with. So yes, kombucha, detoxifying. This is why we want these fermented foods into our diet, into our lifestyle, is because they are, once you kind of get them incorporated into your lifestyle, it's easy enough to do. Right? There's a few hiccups. That's where sometimes the environment that you're in can have an impact, but it has to be pretty bad. And if it's that bad for the cultures, then it's that bad for you. You really actually need to be aware of this and correct that issue, right? So that's kind of a good thing with working something like this. But the kombucha is very detoxifying. That's the main reason, besides it being a lightly effervescent drink, that it's a fermented tea, been around thousands of years. The culture is really interesting because, these cultures that we have today are probably historic in the sense that they are remnants still of cultures from thousands of years ago, because it takes that culture to start another culture, to
Okay.
start a batch.
So is that what you mean when you've mentioned living a few times already?
Right.
Okay.
Because this is a SCOBY is a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast.
Right.
That's what the acronym is.
Yeah.
And so a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast.
Yeah.
So that's what that little gristly thing is. So
Yeah.
when people go, ooh, it's like, no, what are you? You are pond scum. You know, you're no different.
Yeah.
We're more bacteria than cells. So we have to relate to these, and that's why I say they're really my babies, because I want them to provide the healing that they're there for, right? So, and kombucha is no different. And the beauty of kombucha, and this is why I had to start there, my bacteria imbalance was way out. So kombucha was a way to support my liver, because when your body is out of balance, and the biome's out of balance, then you're really talking about a heavy load of toxins on the body and on the liver. So that's where, when I tried doing the cultures, I would react because my body couldn't handle it. So that's where the kombucha came in, helped the liver start functioning better, and increase my biome, start improving my biome, improving my digestion, because that's another beauty of the fermented foods, is they really do aid in digestion. Heartburn, it's amazing. People would think, okay, you got to take an antacid. No, you need to actually increase your acid more than likely. And because these are all lactic acid, many different types of glucuronic acid, which is what's going to be the beneficial in kombucha, that is why we need them into our diet. Now with the coconut milk kefir, so after I did the kombucha, then I went into the coconut milk kefir. I've been doing kombucha since 2008. I've been doing, actually probably even 2007. I've been doing the coconut milk since 2010. That's when I started my business. And then I kind of expanded into the water kefirs, because the water kefirs which is what this is.
Yeah.
These are the colonies that I use to do the coconut milk kefir with, and so this is a way that I have to keep them, and so therefore the water kefir, and then the water kefir, the beauty of it is it's a drinkable. So is the kombucha, but the coconut milk kefir comes out like a spoonable, yogurty, delicious type of, where you could use it in place of sour cream or whipped cream, or that kind of idea, yogurt with fruit and granola and yummy things, or right off the spoon, which is most my favorite.
Now, can I ask, what are these little? It looks like balls at the bottom.
Those are the water kefir cultures.
Okay. Is that what sometimes are referred to as grains as well?
Grains, that's right.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right.
Yep, exactly.
And
which
are they
which
grains?
is crazy, because we all want to be gluten-free, dairy-free, because that's my realm, is gluten-free, dairy-free, organic, live
Very
raw,
similar,
and fermented. Those are my realm. So that's why the water kefir. Because when I experimented with the milk kefir in my early days, when I was first introduced to it, and I couldn't do the dairy, that's when I had to switch over to the water kefir and learn about what it does. And so that that's taken quite some time to kind of really turn it into something consistent, right? Because when you're working with living cultures, there is all these little variances. Even one jar to the next will ferment differently, which I find very fascinating. And so, yes, the grains, and I find that really interesting now that we're going away from grains and as much, and then yet they're called grains. It's just like, buckwheat, which is another one of my favorite gluten-free seeds, right? Still got the wheat in the name. Somehow we got to get that in there, but it has nothing to do with wheat, and it's all gluten-free. So that's the beauty. And then with the water kefir, the beauty of it turns into almost a pop. And the fizziness will vary depending on the sweetness of the fruit that's added, and how long it's been sitting closed up. So I flavor with organic raspberries, organic pineapple, organic lemon rind. Absolutely gorgeous type of really refreshing drink to have at any time of the day. But morning, because it's alkalizing. These are another reason for the fermented foods. We think of acid, but this is an alkalizing acid, not a acidifying acid in the body. And so alkalizing going to help with, and like I said, that also helps with the digestion side of it. And that's another reason for me, like first thing in the morning. Sometimes even water kefir, I'll drink it mixed in with a juice. So if I want to have some pomegranate juice, but I don't want necessarily all that natural sugar that occurs there, I'll cut it with a water kefir. Or water kefir becomes my base for a smoothie.
Okay.
So instead of adding water or nut milk or anything like that, I'll add in my own probiotic, right? Because that's what we're talking about, probiotics. These are the good guys that we want. And the beauty of kefir is there's only 46 different known. When I started in 2010, at that time they'd only identified 11.
Okay.
Now they've identified up to 46, and it's going to grow because the research is now starting to identify that.
Now, can you the word probiotic? A lot of times when people think probiotic, they think little vials or plastic bottles of dairy-based, almost yogurt stuff, or they think of capsules that you take.
Right.
So what is this compared with those things? Is it the same kind of thing, but this is sort of active and alive?
Very good. Good question to bring up, because this is one of the reasons why I am so in love with fermented foods, because this is what nature intended. This is what our body knows and understands, because all food has bacteria on it.
Yep.
No amount of washing. Cooking will kill it, yes, but when we want to live with living foods like our ancestors did, we were eating the microbe of our earth, and that is where our immune system comes from, is the microbe of our earth and from the plants. And so the difference that a capsule might be, manufactured in a facility rather than off of the living foods, getting it off of living foods, right? But one of the biggest benefits is the broader spectrum. Where right now, I think the number is around 500 different types of bacteria that have been identified in our gut.
Okay.
Right, good and bad, right? Probiotics are the good guys. Antibiotics is what wipes out everything, right? And then you have your prebiotic, which of course are the ones that are feeding the probiotics, right?
Okay.
So those are things like inulin, which obviously our dandelion tea has chicory in it, and that's what inulin is. But asparagus and garlic and onion, also some yummy foods too that we eat, have that prebiotic. So we get a fair amount of prebiotic, and fiber feeds that as well. So it's really a probiotic that we want to really inoculate our body with, and really increase our numbers. And what I've recently heard, which just tickles me to no end, but it also really speaks loudly to again, my passion for the fermented foods, is that every meal our body changes with every meal. So our biome changes with every meal. Our body's body ecology changes with every meal. So that means every meal is one step closer to optimal health. Right? We can really look at it that way now. And to me, that's a really, if you want to change your eating habits, start taking a different perspective about your food when you look at it, and inoculate, change your probiotics. So, and traditionally, that's what fermented foods were ate. They were eaten every meal, a little bit every meal, traditionally. So that's, again, inoculating every meal, changing your biome every meal, and assisting your body naturally to heal itself.
Right.
So that's, again, what the beauty is. Now, with the kefir, that broader spectrum, we identified 500 different bacteria and yeast in our body, good and bad. Fermented foods, a kefir is that specific colony of 46 identified bacteria and yeast, right? But things like sauerkraut, things like kimchi, even my fermented sprouted raw cashew spread, right? That each of the foods are going to bring their own bacteria. Right. So again, it helps to increase that spectrum. With my kimchi, I culture it, so I make sure it's getting inoculated with some very specific ones, which are known to really help heal the gut, and are the ones that really lay down a foundation in the gut, and that's what I inoculate with. And then the vegetables will all bring their own as well. The cashew, I'm actually using a little bit of water kefir to do the fermentation with. And then the cashew itself will have its own bacteria after being sprouted and brought back to life, and being now in a living enzymatic state. The fermentation just enhances that activity. And fermentation increases your B vitamins, increases the minerals available to the body. It totally increases all bioavailability of all nutrients in whatever it is that you're eating. So, fermenting, people who've had trouble with nuts, we know sprouting increases that. Well, you start fermenting with a nut, now the digestibility and absorption of the nutrients from that nut is increased 10, 12, 15 fold. So that's, again, another really good benefit of fermentation and even sprouting.
A lot to take in, a lot of fantastic stuff. Before we go, I guess I'm curious to know, how much fermented and how much cultured food do you eat on a daily basis? Like, will you dabble in almost everything here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The coconut water kefir, that's a new one I started doing and offered. This one is, again, one because coconut water, once it's fermented, has a different taste, and for a lot of people it might be acquired, but it's actually really pleasant. And super beneficial because coconut water brings your electrolytes, but I'll cut that with some pomegranate juice. So sometimes that might be my first drink. Sometimes it might be my water, my water kefir in my smoothie. Then, lunch, I'll be having my cashew spread with maybe a little kimchi, or maybe have kimchi with, with my dinner, right? Because and like I said, it's going back to that traditional way of eating where ferment with every meal. So you don't have to have, the coconut milk kefir. Sure, you could eat that in a half cup in a setting. Some people tell me they love to eat the whole jar. Exactly. Because it tastes delicious, and that's what good food is all about. For me, healing food is about food that tastes really good, but also feeds, food as medicine, feeds us and helps our own body to naturally heal, which is what we all are striving for. One of our main things for being here.
So thank you very much. This is all stuff that you make and that you sell, but I know that not only are you found at certain farmers markets and in certain stores, and you can tell folks about that a little bit in just a minute, but you also teach and you guide people on how to make some of these things. So maybe you'd like to just let folks know how they can get in touch with you, where they can find out more about Healing Spirit Nutrition and the services that you provide. Go ahead.
Great. Well, yes. Right now, everyone wants to know about fermenting. It's a really hot topic. And so, yes, I do teach classes right here in my home. And from water kefir, kombucha. I don't teach the coconut milk kefir because that's my signature product that's taken me years to develop. But you learn to work with water kefir cultures. You can ferment anything. And that's another beauty of water kefir, is that it's very versatile. And the kimchi, making absolutely vegetable krauts, that's the another class that I would do, because you can have fermented beets, fermented carrots, fermented just about anything. And I teach other classes like detoxification, liquid nutrition, dehydration, sprouted, raw. So there's quite a bit. So the best place is right now is on Facebook. I'll post the different events when they're happening. I'll be starting up my fermentation classes the end of this month, February 2016. And I'm working on having a daytime, having evening, so go there to check it out. You can always email me if you want to get on the mailing list, the email list, so KimberLeeSchaumburg@gmail.com. And I'm still working on my HealingSpiritNutrition.com website. I'm too busy fermenting. And I also sell cultures as well for people that do want to try it on their own, because I know there's a lot of information, ways to access information on YouTube and things. So some people are daring and willing to charge forward, which is awesome. I have all my products available at various stores throughout Durham. I'm starting to spread into Toronto, so I've got right now about 12 stores. You can always contact me directly. 905-626-1336 is my cell. That's a good way to get in touch with me. I'm on the go lots.
Markets?
Farmers market, yes, thank you. I do a farmers market at Pickering Town Center. That runs from June to October. Right outside the mall, not inside the mall, but outside the mall, Pickering Town Center. And let's see, the store's Facebook. I think that's the best way, really. Phone, email, Facebook. And eventually check out my website, because I'm going to have lots of good information there. And I do sell directly from my home too. So it's always good to meeting people and hearing their stories.
Fantastic. And then we're also looking forward to having you for one of the sessions during my 12-week Eat Well, Be Well group program, The Magic of Fermented Foods. So a lot of this, but expanded.
Absolutely. And taste testing.
And taste testing
sampling.
too.
Sampling.
And there's a recipe or two that I'm going to be handing out, because that coconut milk kefir has been the base for many little wholesome desserts that are super indulgent but nourishing at the same time.
Yes.
So I'm excited to share that with the people that come out. So KimberLee Schaumburg, registered holistic nutritionist from Healing Spirit Nutrition, thank you so much for coming out today and talk. Or no, actually, we came to you to talk about all of this stuff that you do with fermented and cultured foods. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of months for the session. And thank you. My name is Lassia Kahut, Integrative Nutrition Health Coach and Eco Pastry Chef. Thank you for watching another episode of Eat Well, Be Well TV.